politics and precious metals, currency and current events, and from Bitcoin to banksters, this is the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show. Now, here are your hosts, Tony Arterburn and Kenzie.
How?
It's good. That's a start.
Yeah, I'm trying. You see?
The gunshot happens, and you were right there. That's good. I think your reflexes are state of the art today, Kenzie.
Over-caffeinated.
All right, folks. Well, welcome to the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show. We've made it 2 Mondays in a row, if you can believe that. I'm Tony Arterburn. I'm one of your hosts. I'm joined in studio with Beans the Brave, my 12.5 pound, sometimes 12 pound, depending on how many treats. Chihuahua mixed from the mean streets of San Antonio. And of course, the great and powerful Kenzie is here with her Leviticus avatar, which I find to be beautiful and intimidating.
Mike the gravel guy just didn't want to come up my driveway because Leviticus was in it. And, you know, that's kind of the sad thing is I need more exposure, but then people are like, I don't want to be anywhere near him. It's like, well, what's wrong, Mike? You saw him whenever he was like a quarter of the size. It's the same dog. It's just big.
He's a beautiful, majestic animal.
Oh, well, thank you.
I've
met
him.
Yeah, you did.
In
the dark whenever he was on alert, and I'm so happy he didn't bite Tony.
He didn't bite me.
Yeah.
He did not. Most dogs love me. But anyway, I am glad you're here. We have just a little bit to cover today. It's been a crazy Monday, crazy week. What's not crazy here in the Great Reset? How's your Great Reset going out there, ladies and gentlemen? I know much to discuss today. We'll jump right into some headlines, but I wanted to let everybody know that we've got the show. Just a reminder, we got the show on Mondays. We do a live stream. We're supposed to go on sometime around noon. Kenzie and I are working on that, and this has been 2 weeks in a row. We got the show back together. And I'm adding the interviews on Thursdays that I do with David Knight, the great David Knight. Every Thursday on his show, I add those to the podcast stream. So be sure and subscribe to the podcast. It's the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show, anywhere podcasts are found. And we're going to talk a little bit more, too, about some of the offerings and things that are happening over at Wise Wolf. I'm actually in the WiseWolfGoldandSilver.com studios here in Branson, Missouri. I'll be in Texas tomorrow, and then into probably sometime into late next week there at our other shop in Denison. We got customers here right now, so we're the metal business is it's funny. Some podcasts, I guess we don't ever have to fake it. We're actually in the gold and silver business in real time as I'm on the air. So, Kenz, did you want to jump into this article that I found just doing a gold news search here on DuckDuckGo?
Yeah. Is that what we need to do now too? Is use DuckDuckGo to actually find these articles because they're not suppressed there?
That's a great question. I found that, DuckDuckGo, wasn't it bought out recently? Or
it might have been, but they're going to try to probably maintain whatever made it successful. And what's weird about that is this is on CBS. It is mainstream. It's not somebody like you or me writing about this. Yet on Google, it's so hard to find.
Yeah, it is weird. I don't know. DuckDuckGo seems to be a little bit cleaner on the search, and I need to upload like the Brave browser and some of these other things I haven't done yet on this computer. And it's a miracle that I can even I went and bought all new things, and new doesn't equal better. Like I had an old refurbished computer that we bought when I first opened up Wise Wolf in San Antonio. It still works. It's actually in the next room, and it's still going strong. I went and bought all this new equipment in my studio, and it's just terrible. And it's updating constantly. There's always a problem with it. Had I known, I wouldn't have bought this particular brand or anything. But it's brand new. It should be running really fast. Sometimes it doesn't, but DuckDuckGo is, I think, a decent search engine for metals anyway, and for what's going on in the news. So I just usually put gold and type news, And this was the first article that hit. And I thought it was fun to start with because, people are always, we got new people tuning in and checking out the show all the time. This is CBS News. What beginners should know about buying gold online. And we want to talk to you about that because Kenzie and I offer online shopping for your gold and silver needs and a membership program and all that good stuff. But there's some things that you should know because people are, there was an article I covered last week on the David Knight show about the generation that's buying the most gold right now, or at least the volume of, a percentage of the generation is the millennials, like the Generation X, which is me. And I know you're Gen Z, but the generation just a little bit older than you, Kens, are buying more gold than the boomers and Gen Xers. And but there's a caveat to it. They're buying ETFs. They're not buying. So like they're right on the cusp of getting it right because you need physical metals. You need to be able to hold it in your hand without counterparty risk. And they're almost there. But yeah, millennials are buying gold. And I think that has to do with trusting the system. And even though Gen Xers, we tend to not trust the system at all, we still latch on to King Dollar because it's been around. It's been a part of our life. Same thing with, the baby boomers. It says during times of economic market volatility, many investors turn to gold as a way to offset risk from stocks and bonds. That's one reason why we saw so many investors turn to gold in recent years. But while investing in gold can be a great way to protect against losses while hedging against inflation and diversifying your portfolio, it can be challenging to get started. That's especially true if you're buying gold online as a new investor. Technology has helped to greatly advance the online options for buying or selling this precious metal. While online gold buying is one of the most convenient methods, these advances have made it slightly tricky to navigate, especially for beginners. And I agree with that. It is very tricky. Like if you just said, okay, I got to get into gold, or I want to get into crypto, right? I want to buy Bitcoin. And one of the things I saw like a couple of years ago, the Robinhood app, and I don't know if they still do this, but remember the Robinhood app, and you could, it's stock buying for the people or whatever. They started to have Bitcoin on there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a catch. You can buy it, but you really can't do anything with it. You can't move it off. It's not like you go on your Cash App and buy a little Bitcoin or go to a Bitcoin ATM and put it on your wallet. You can't move it. And I suspect it's really a lot like what these gold ETFs are like. And by the way, when you cash out of these ETFs, the exchange traded funds, you don't get gold for them. They pay you in fiat currency. It says there are numerous options to investors who want to buy gold online. The online gold market offers a range of options for paper gold investing, from gold exchange traded funds, ETFs, to gold individual retirement accounts, IRAs, and gold related stocks. Well, Kenzie and I do IRAs. We can take your 401k or your existing IRA in paper, and we can turn it into physical metals. Now that's different than an ETF. With our program, we take your existing products, we open up a physical precious metals IRA. You buy from us. You have all the legals covered through New Direction Trust, which is our partner in this. They create all the documents and create the account. And you buy physical metals. And that goes to a third-party vault that you choose. We got like 9 of them, I think, last time I checked, Kenzie, all over the U.S. I use Dallas. But that's one way to do it. So they're right on that. I don't like the ETFs.
Yeah.
And that's mainly because you're putting it to the spot price. That's supposedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you really don't have anything to show for it except that certificate. I don't invest in paper.
Nothing.
I don't like.
And I think in some of these ETFs, like there is a way to get physical delivery, but good luck because you're going to be waiting forever. And unless you're the guy that can afford the armored truck with the giant pallet of gold bars to come to your house, you're never going to get delivery. And it's the same thing with the silver. Like we're talking about huge pallets, 1,000-ounce bars, COMEX bars. And yeah, you're never going to be, the everyday person will never be able to get that. And even if you could, by the time you decided you needed it, I'm assuming that the world fell apart. So good luck.
I like the question I get a lot is like, okay, let's say it's Mad Max times, right? It's Road Warrior. And I got my IRA, my gold IRA in a vault 3 states away. How am I going to get my gold? And I'm like,
You're not.
I think you have bigger problems.
I think you do.
I mean,
and if that's a real concern to people, see, this is the double-edged sword that they have purposely put you guys into. It's either all of that money and time that you put in to have that IRA or 401k or whatever you have out there. If you touch it, there's penalties to it. If you roll it into gold and silver, all right, we're going to waive those penalties and you're not penalized for that. So, you know, a lot of people don't want to take that massive hit from touching their metals, but that's where I say it really comes down to you. If you are seriously worried about Mad Max, this is not, I would say that that's likely not the thing for you, but there's still people that move it over because they hate the idea of the penalty. And this is something that you just need to sit on the couch for about 3 days straight and really think it through on what you want to do with that if you're concerned about it. You know, I hate the situation that they put people into because you always felt like you were being responsible, doing the right thing, building something up. And here comes big bad government. And they're like, oh, but there's a catch to that. A huge catch. It makes me sick.
Well, me too. Kind of just getting down to the basics anymore. It's like, okay, you look at all the different options and it really kind of rings true. Just that daily accumulation, a little bit of stacking, you know, kind of, and we'll talk a little bit. You got an article up on the Bullion Bulletin. Is that the Bullion Bulletin? Is that what we got on
Bullion Bulletin?
That's good. The BB. We've got an article up that Kenzie worked on really hard over the weekend on picking the right safe. So that's to me, I like, you know, physical, no counterparty risk.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry. I've got it. I own it. It's mine. And
it's a lot of responsibility, but you can take some pride in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the end of this article. And I want to say it's funny. Kenzie and I were looking at, we have, you know, advertisements. We spend a lot on search engine optimization, and there's some ridiculous company. I don't know what they're like. They found us and they're like, so if you type in our name, they're like, let's see if you should buy from them. Like they make like a survey, like, oh, it doesn't look like Wise Wolf has, you know, what did they say we didn't have? Like, do they not have like
it's because we don't have a list of the thousands and thousands of metal products that are available on our website, because we're not a company that makes, you know, over $4 million a day to put all of that and maintain all of that on our website.
I would like to say, like, the reason I built this company is because of companies like that, where they've got 100 people in a bullpen, you know, smiling and dialing. And, you know, they're running their 1-800 numbers over every, you know, demographic that they can on cable television and whatever they can do to get people to call. And they put them in numismatics. And if you don't have 10 grand, they're mad at you. You know, it's just, it's the reason I built it. And
that is like part of their strategy, is to make you feel so small. And it's so gross, because I don't like whenever we get, you know, that person that is working with the smaller budget, the realistic budget, because you're a normal person. I hate how they feel ashamed that that's what that is. Don't be ashamed of that. You worked hard for whatever that is.
That's why I don't have a minimum. It's like, oh,
exactly.
It's because when I remember I called my first 1-800 number, because I listened to talk radio when I was in my early 20s, right before I went over to take part in Mr. Bush's war in 2003. I called this online, our place, you know, 1-800. I was pretty proud of myself because I had $3,000, is the most I'd ever saved, you know?
Yeah.
And once I told him the amount, he's like, and gosh, gold was like $400 an ounce.
They just act like there's nothing they can do for you.
They put me in some garbage numismatic, and I don't even remember what it was. And I think I sold it like 5 or 6 years later, took a loss on it. I mean, it's just, that's why I'm in the business. And that's why people call me like, hey, do you have a minimum? No, we don't just get rid of you because you don't have tens of thousands of dollars. One of the reasons why we created Wolfpack. People say, I can't afford precious metals. Yeah, you can. You got $50? Can you do $50 a month? We got Lone Wolf for that. I mean, and you get variety for it. You don't have to just wait till we can squeeze you into whatever round and then add shipping. We put variety in there. You can get gold backs. You can get fractional silver, 90%, all the pre-65 stuff. It's just what makes us different. I don't know. I went off on a rant. I was just thinking about that because not all sellers are trustworthy. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And
it's true. But just because you're a small company doesn't make you a bad person.
No, it doesn't. Says one of the primary concerns when purchasing gold online is ensuring authenticity. Some unscrupulous sellers will push fake or low quality physical gold at inflated prices, and they tend to target new investors who don't know the market well enough to make an educated decision. Well, I agree with that. He says, avoid these types of red flags. If you're buying physical gold online, your best bet is to buy high quality gold, is to look for well-established, reputable sellers with lots of positive customer reviews and ratings. Well, I agree with that. Also, watch out for bigger companies that put ads up that said, you shouldn't trust this smaller company. And stupid veteran out here trying to, he doesn't have 100 people in a bullpen with headsets on. Be sure to also research the seller's background, check their credentials. I agree with that. And find out whether they're affiliated with recognized industry organizations. Now, what would be a recognized industry organization, Kenzie?
I don't know.
What does that mean? Is there like
They're affiliated with recognized industry organizations. Why do I need to be affiliated with anything is the question. Like, what? I don't know.
I'm just asking the question. I mean, I think you do look for ratings. You look for how long they've been around and look for, there's things you want to, who's the person? Like we have our bios up. You can find, I'm an open book. You can find me I'm everywhere on media. Been in business a long time, but that's interesting. I don't know, like maybe we're part of the World Gold Council or something. I mean, do I have a sales tax permit? Is that what they mean? Should also do your best to avoid dealing with sellers who have limited information or unclear terms and conditions. And no matter how good a deal they seem, always avoid buying gold from sources that do not provide any form of authentication. That's a good breakdown. I mean, I get asked all the time, what kind of authentication can you give? And like, say you're buying a gold bar and you get a Valcambi bar, and I buy it from first of all, you want to know where does it come from? Where does your seller get his or her gold? Where does it come from? Most of Kenzie and I's products come from wholesalers or the trading floor in Dallas. I mean, you call it the trading floor, but that's really the regional hub in Dallas where I deal with most of the time for our larger orders. Then we have 3 or 4 other places that we can pull from, places like refiners that melt products and that are reputable and get me, same day stuff. So there's all sorts of options when it comes to getting into getting you product. You have to ask where that comes from. So if you've got a Valcambi bar, it's going to have a serial number on it. But a lot of people, especially if it's it's going to be in the package, but a lot of people, they like the fact that gold doesn't have, it's not traceable, right? There is like that anonymity, because it doesn't matter where you find gold. I mean, gold, you can't trace where it came from. Gold is just gold. So it is interesting to have, ask that question. How do you authenticate it? Basically, you authenticate it, and it will always, Kenzie and I can always write you something up. I'll put my signature over it. We've tested it. We've verified it. We've got receipts from where it came from. But that's probably what you're going to get when it comes to buying something physical. Did I miss something, Kenz? Is that about right?
No, that's pretty good. I mean, I think you kind of left out the fact that anytime that we're getting something in, just from people doing walk-ins, because there's a lot of good deals that even go into Wolfpack for our walk-ins, folks selling off monster boxes or whatever it might be. Those 2 girls in there and Tony are in there are having to test all of that, before we're even getting to the point of purchasing it. So that's something that I'm pretty proud of. A lot of dealers aren't going to take the time, You might test a few, and sometimes on a really busy day, yeah, you've got to just test a few and hope for the best. You pick them at random, but at the end of the day, everything has to be tested before it goes back to the vault. So I don't know how many, hopefully all dealers are doing that. I also hope in the future that we could introduce an XRF machine just to make all that go so much faster for both people coming in or coming out. Instead of us having to take 30 minutes to do something, we might be able to do it in 30 seconds or 3 minutes. So that's always really cool.
Hey, we got a comment from T-Dub over on YouTube. Very happy Alpha Wolf Pack member here. Hi, Tony and Kinsey. Well, thank you for being part of the Wolf Pack. And that's a great kind of...
The Abby is fantastic.
I love that. I love that avatar. That's good. I think we should run that avatar for president. That would be an IQ improvement. I think we could do that together. We can make that happen. Whatever that is. Is that
I'd vote.
I think I would too.
Ocean creature of some kind. Do I an ocean creature?
Let's talk about pricing and premiums. The article goes on. The price of physical gold and the premiums charged by sellers can also vary, sometimes drastically, from one seller to the next. The spot price of gold is its current market value, but sellers will often tack on premiums on top of the spot price. This is true.
As if it's like just us. It's like no,
it kind of reminds me of gasoline. Gasoline retailers, people are mad at the gasoline retailer who makes no money. It's like all the cost was put in by every other layer before it reached the person that you get it from.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a lot like us. I mean, if you realize when we pull from wherever, even sometimes from the public, there's always a cost above spot.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't matter. Like we have cost above. So our price is never going to be what you see on like goldprice.org or going to wolfpack.gold and tracking the spot price. It'll just never.
Yeah, that's your ETF price. That's your paper price that you'll never get to actually touch.
There's a fee for owning something in the physical third dimension.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, and there's a question I get asked so often, and I hate it. And people will ask me, what's your percentage over spot? If you ask me that on Tuesday versus asking me that on Friday at 2:45 p.m., there's a pretty good chance, guys, that it's going to be different. And if there are any dealers out there that are guaranteeing or whatever they're doing on their cost per ounce over spot or whatever it might be, how? Because there's so many different varieties of coinage out there. But two, the wholesalers or the trading floor where we get this stuff from, they can decide tomorrow that they're going to tack on an extra 2 or 3% to Canadian maples or whatever it might be. And, I don't get to make that choice or decision. And I will say, though, that oftentimes people are pretty surprised by our premiums because they are, I am looking for the best deal or the best value that I can find you that day. And oftentimes I'm happy to say this, the best value that day does not always mean the cheapest thing that day, because I'm actually looking out for people as to what holds a premium later down the road and what doesn't. And this has nothing to do with collectibles. This just has to do with really knowing the market that you're in.
It's fun. We have to be the only gold and silver retailer that I've ever seen that when somebody starts talking to us, we automatically pull up the competition's prices to see what they're doing. Like I do that all the time. I'm like, let's see real quick what JM Bullion or wherever. I'm like, let's see what the major retailers are doing. So I make sure that we're very competitive. And then we'll try to add something in there like, oh, well, this website says this is the price for 500 ounces and we're going to do this price for 100. I mean, that's little things kind of when you're dealing with us on an individual level and we don't have a shopping cart for like, 3 ounces of silver. You got to call us or 3 ounces of gold. You got to call us. It doesn't matter. We have our membership, which is easy to get and put in the shopping cart, but most of the time you just got to text or call us and we go on an individual level and look for you.
Mm-hmm. That's the difference. And there's not a crazy premium tacked onto that. People always think, because whenever I do things very differently than most people out there, that's okay. But they always think that there's like some kind of extra charge at the end that I'm going to like pull out of a hat. And I'm like, no, that's That's like what it is. The cost I just gave you is what it is, and
They're
they're
like,
just
"Okay, how do
expecting
you get
something.
paid?" I love
They're
that.
just like something gonna come around the corner any moment. I'm like, no, that's actually what it is. I just
How do
like to
you
make
get
sure people are happy. So do the best.
Well, you do a great job. This talk about a little bit, and we'll go into this article's paragraph on storage, and then we'll talk about yours as well. If you're buying physical gold like gold bars or coins online, you'll need to have a secure storage method once it arrives. Many online sellers will offer storage services for a fee, while others may recommend third-party vaults instead. You can also choose to store the gold yourself in a secure location like a home safe or a bank safety deposit box.
Oh my God, they did not just say that.
I do
The
not
bank
like
safety.
that last little bit, the safety deposit box, folks. I'm against it.
Your bank yourself will tell
Oppose
you
it.
that they do not insure gold coins or silver coin or any coinage for that. They don't insure that.
I
They don't
just
do
don't
that.
trust it. And you can there's just so many different if you've ever had your bank account shut down, you know, like I have for just existing, like, oh, you wired the crypto exchange too many times, or we don't like the cash in your account or whatever. If you've had that happen, I get a little shaky, get a little bit nervous when I'm putting anything in a bank. I don't like it. I have to do it for business, but don't trust
Oh
those
no,
safety
I
deposit.
actually have a pretty, I'm not going to give out any personal details or anything like that, but I mean, somewhat personal. One of my Mimi's good friends, which they are some fancy people, guys. Something happened at the bank where they have their bank safety deposit box. And this lady owns an insane amount of luxury jewelry. But somehow they can't seem to find out where that went, Tony. And I mean insane luxury jewelry in a sense of like a Cartier necklace and certain watches and things. We're talking about $80,000, $100,000 pieces that we just, oh, we don't know where that went. So she's actually in the middle of an investigation for all of that right now. Like somebody at the bank decided to get a little handsy and didn't
Seems like
think
a
that she
nightmare.
would come back. Yeah, that's bad. That's very bad.
That seems like a waking nightmare.
Whew. Yeah. Well, you know
No,
what I told my Mimi to do? I was like, yeah, it's not a good idea. It's take it out.
never. Before you purchase any physical gold online, though, it's important to know what the associated storage and security costs and options are. I agree with that. Um, the wealthiest people don't keep their gold at home. I mean, I'm sure they have some, but not if you're really holding gold. I mean, somebody like Robert Kiyosaki, who's like, I've got gold and silver stored all over the world, different vaults. So what may look like a good deal could ultimately end up being more costly than expected due to additional charges. Always look for the bottom line, do the math beforehand. I agree with that. Buying gold online can be a rewarding investment if done with caution and research, but even if you're new to the market, a beginner should take the time to understand the different types of gold, know how to verify the authenticity of the product, and understand how to choose reputable sellers. I agree with all of that. Know your dealer. Who are you dealing
Definitely.
with?
And it's weird how they're saying that you yourself need to learn how to verify that. Do they expect people to have like a $7,000 machine in their own home, Tony, to test everything? I mean, we're happy to, if anybody ever wants to walk in, of course, whether we know you or not, yeah, put it on my machine, we can test it. But I mean, just as the individual, unless you are spending, an outrageous amount monthly, I don't know if you need to have a $4,000 to $7,000 machine in your home to test all
No,
that.
no, it's. I've had to deal with some folks too that didn't know what they had. I mean, they've had,
Yeah.
I mean, older bars and things that were crazy stuff I've seen over the years. What I always try to do is like, let's get bottom line here, because like if I can't verify it at my location, I'm going to get it to, like, say, the contract I have with my refiner in San Antonio. I
Hmm.
trust them. They have very sophisticated equipment. Whatever they tell me that is in that, whatever it is, like I've had people bring me the most oddly shaped size, weight stuff that you've ever seen. It's crazy. There's crazy stuff out there, especially from the 70s and onwards,
Oh
where they
yeah.
just pouring bars, just pouring. It didn't. It's it is. you got an 8-ounce gold bar. Well, what the hell is that? Like 8.3 ounce. What is that? And or
It was all the random refineries that existed in that time. It's there was a lot of weird stuff out there.
I've had crazy stuff where people brought me like stuff from the Philippines and other places in Asia where it'll be like a replica of something. And like I had one that was this massive replica of not size, not sized to actual scale, but this big $100 bill. And the guy says, I know it's real. And I remember going, I have no way to test this. And I mean, it was flimsy, like it felt like gold, but I'm like, if this is gold, it's like 4.5 ounces of 24 karat gold. And I can't scratch test it. I can't, use my tester on it, my bullion tester. I can't do anything.
Yeah, the only way to do that stuff is to put it on an XRF or drill it. And people don't want their stuff drilled. So
it was so weird. I'll never forget that when I said, okay, you got to get me to the rest of the afternoon. I drove over to my refiner. And I said, this is going to have to happen. We're going to have to melt it. I got to get it refined first. And so it came back and it was like 4 ounces of gold.
Jesus.
The guy had I'm like, and I showed him the assay report. It was 24 karat, but it was like 4 ounces of gold. This is back in like 2018 or something. That was one of the weirdest ones I've ever seen, but there's always know who you're dealing with. And then you come to us, if you don't have an idea we'll find out what it is. I'm always curious to know, All right. Well, let's skip around a little bit. I definitely don't want to miss that article that you put up, Kens, but let's talk a little bit about cryptocurrencies. And when I say crypto, what I really mean is CBDC. I covered this on my show last week, but this is Kitco.com. Vladimir Putin signs digital ruble bill. Japan explores a digital yen. And Nigeria upgrades to the Nira app.
Nira. Sounds like a bad ex-girlfriend that got you in a lot of trouble.
That's a good one.
Nira.
Very, very bad. You need a restraining order against Nira.
Yeah. Pretty much. That's how that sounds.
Russian President Vladimir Putin officially signed the digital ruble bill into law on Monday, making way for the legislation governing the creation of a public central bank digital currency. Takes effect on August 1, according to the government document. Russia's lower parliamentary house, the State Duma, passed the digital ruble bill in its third reading on July 11th. The bill was subsequently approved by the Assembly's upper chamber, the Federation Council, and ended up on Putin's desk. Well, I guess we were just waiting on that, getting the signature. But the Bank of Russia said they will initiate the first digital ruble pilot with real customers in August. Well, isn't that interesting, Kenzie, that we launched in this country? We have FedNow. Remember FedNow is like Apocalypse Now, but FedNow is the bones, the structure, the foundation for the central bank digital currency. It launched here in the U.S. This month. Yeah, there's a race going on. It really is a race by these governments to get CBDC underway. This is the new arms race. And I have a suspicion that it really kind of tracks back to the idea of one coin to rule them all. The IMF talking about that with their Unicoin. The Bank of International Settlements said last week or 2 weeks ago that countries need to change their constitution to fit central bank digital currency, something that no one needs. You're making something that we don't need you, and it confuses crypto with this stuff, And there's a lot of people right now, and I'm in alternative media, so are you, that we look at the war in Ukraine and we think, and I know what NATO's done, and I know all about the geopolitical stuff that led to this by the West, and I understand that. And people say, well, Russia's going to save us or whatever. They're doing it. They're doing the CBDC. All these countries are. And you have to ask, well, what does it track back to? And to me, there's something baked into this, and the Agenda 2030, the Great Reset, whatever you want to call it. And people, because there's not mass adoption of crypto yet. I mean, it's just barely, you're still at the beginning stages. They know that it's a race to outpace the free market and decentralized coin, and an end run around sounds like Zygmunt Brzezinski or something. We have to make an end run around a national sovereignty. It's an end run around the free market, where people are like, oh yeah, I want digital currency. That's really cool. People in Nigeria didn't buy it. I love those stories this year where they're like, oh, here's the central bank digital currency because you use Bitcoin. And they're like, we don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
We like
They
what
just
we
bought more
like.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, we just do Bitcoin. Why do we need you? Great question. We don't. Yeah, of course, the Bank of Japan explores the development of a digital yen. Again, why? Why is that? Because who can control their populations the best? We can expand and contract our money supply in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the point of all this. They can expand and contract. They can track and trace. They can make currency units disappear, expire. We can make it to where it's not operable on certain types of purchases. Just a real bad deal. Real bad. And I want to get in maybe next week. I want to talk a little bit. I want to see where some of these developments go. But have you been following this deal with WorldCoin?
No, I hadn't been.
Oh, it's the idea of UBI and biometric integration and validation and all this. I mean, I can't decide if it's Orwellian, Kafkaesque, or Brave New Worldish, or maybe a combination of all three.
Just a little combination.
A little combination. All right. Well, there's a little bit of news on the CBDC front. We're going to cover this because know the difference between central bank digital currency, garbage, digital trash. Don't trade your cash for digital trash, as Gerald Celente said. And real things like decentralized cryptocurrency, which I'm a fan of. All right, let's go back to metals. You were noticing this article in the show prep. Asahi Gold Vault, 30 miles outside of Manhattan, added to the COMEX approved vault list. This was submitted by Bullion Star on Zero Hedge. Those who keep an eye on the well-known COMEX daily gold and silver inventory reports, officially titled CME's Warehouse and Depository Stocks, will now have noticed that a new depository vault created, Asahi Depository LLC, has recently made an appearance on the reports. And it looks like Asahi basically acquired the holdings of the now defunct Republic.
Yeah.
Metal holdings.
The really interesting thing about them is just
I still got you, Kent. I think her mic dropped off just a minute. Maybe might be just buffering a bit.
Did I pop out there for a second?
You just popped out a little bit. Yeah. What were you saying?
Oh, it's just really cool how much they're investing in the U.S. and buying up the old refineries, I think depositories and just different warehouses that it's neat that they're taking something that is old and has an established name to it, that trust and reputation is already there and most of the materials that they need are there. Instead of just building something brand new. Asahi's just a really neat company that's, really made a name for themselves. I think the last couple of years, really, really cool.
We've done a lot of
my personal bias for that is the fact that you can get gold bars that are made here in the US without the insane premium. So it's a company that's actually out of Tokyo, but whenever they bought the old rundown Johnson Matthey refineries and where they used to make those gold bars, the famous gold loaves at that, and silver loaf bars, Asahi bought that, and they're actually using a lot of the same equipment that was used back then. So it's just cool how they take so much from the old world and so much of this new technology and combine it together to just make an awesome product. I love them.
That's really cool.
I'm biased.
That's really cool. Well, yeah, let's talk a little bit about Asahi. We've moved a lot of Asahi products over the years. I mean, I'm a fan. I know that a lot of times their rounds are very dependable and usually in
Mhm.
stock. And so I've looked. I mean, price point wise, I've been very pleased with them.
Yeah, and they actually tend to carry on some of their stuff, like their own round, the Asahi round, not the Buffalo one, because they do make Buffaloes as well. But on their Asahi round, it's crazy because I see the other retailers are probably selling them oftentimes for anywhere from like $3 to $5 more per ounce than I am, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on here? But that's where I say, okay, here's the value on, would you rather go and buy some Buffaloes or maybe pay 10 cents, some days maybe 20 cents more per ounce on this Asahi here, because not every dealer in the world is going to have some Asahis in their hand, right? But every dealer in the world has Buffaloes. That there is no premium to you buying your silver Buffaloes.
I'd love
It's
to have some of that old equipment, for the refining, because I mean, there's going to be so much of that in the future that, like, what you heard it here, folks. Urban gold mining. I've been hearing this phrase for years, but I think as we see a transition into crazier times, and the loss of purchasing power for the dollar, people just needing to raise cash, you're going to see places like, we've got 2 physical locations for Wise Wolf, buying your physical metals, buying, rings, bracelets, bars, whatever, coins, anything gold, scrap in general, even if it's just broken, and we buy it and melt it. I think there's going to be a lot of that going on. I think there's going to be some more domestic production of bars. I think that'll happen.
Oh, there's a
It's a good
growing
investment.
number of people that are just doing it in their own garage. So that's going to way spike up, and you're going to have a lot more weird bars to look at and test here in the future, Tony.
Agreed. All right, we got just a little bit of time. Oh, the show kind of flew by.
Sorry about that.
No, I love it. It's fun. And it's we talked this morning, Kenzie and I. We're still not ready for we want to do one at 11 a.m. Central Time to kind of follow the David Knight show, and tell, so we could go on there and say, hey, we're going to be live and see some of that audience come over. And we've just been so busy. We'll get there though, because this is progress. It's 2 shows in a row. It's not bad.
Well, this morning is my fault. Athena really thought it was the apocalypse because of the heavy equipment in the yard. And yeah.
That's funny. All right. Let's just jump on the last bit, and we'll do gold and silver spot prices. But I wanted to show people your blog that's up. That's the Bullion Bulletin on wolfpack.gold. Kenzie, the destroyer of normalcy bias, her place to write is here. And I want people to check this article out, From Essential to Elite, Choosing the Perfect Safe for Your Precious Metals.
It is a long, long article, but every detail that you need to know is in that. And the reason that was put together is because of how many emails I get, probably a month, just asking about, what do I need there? And I actually have like a checklist, like that 10 key considerations. Even if you're not looking at everything I put in there, there's your checklist to go in and look at. And personally, I'm just definitely, the biggest thing is not having all that super fancy electronic fingerprint, retina scan, all that stuff fails. It's terrible. Stick with it sounds old fashioned, but some of those combination locks that we have today, especially if you can do a double combination lock, is going to be that is superior still today. So very long article, but, and I'm not trying to, crap on what you have at home, or most of you probably have at home. It's a perfect gun safe. It's a perfect safe for, maybe keeping, I don't know, your birth certificate in it, but it's not the same as, what you should have once you reach a certain level in your stack.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't even talk about those companies because I noticed, I was like, I didn't want to compare it outright, but then I noticed definitely after looking into them, I have a feeling that they would have 50 different lawyers come at me if I really broke down what was wrong with the stuff that you can buy in a Home Depot, Lowe's, Tractor Supply, Walmart, and every big box store that you can think of.
Well, folks, I'm gonna put it in the show notes. It was a great breakdown. If you're buying precious metals, you own precious metals already, you want to look into security, Kenzie's done the research for you. She's done the thinking for you. You can find her article up on wolfpack.gold. I thought it was a great breakdown. She is right. It's lengthy because she spent time on it, and it's well written. And I'm proud to have it up on the site. So, Kenz, before we close, do you have any news items, anything going on in Wolfpack you want to talk about, or Wise Wolf in general?
At the very moment, no. I know that we should have a flash sale coming up here pretty soon on some 10th ounce gold pieces. And for those of you that want nothing to do with the safe, don't worry about it. There's going to be some other ideas coming up on the Bullion Bulletin for people that just don't like to have a safe or prefer to only have a dummy safe. I have got something in store for you too. That other article was just way too lengthy to add that sort of stuff there. Let's see here. Did I have anything exciting on the way? Well, I'm excited for the people out there that have gotten subscriptions this month. Hopefully you got some Geiger stuff in there because I waited months for that and it has been depleted. I will try again in the future to get more, but it's difficult on that Geiger stuff and at a really good price point too. So there's always cool stuff coming in whenever it comes to Wolfpack. I love that.
We got all kinds of, and yeah, look for those flash sales. We got some product that I bought this week that you're going to want to look out for. It's just a little bit of deal for everybody. So it was a trade that didn't go through, but hey, that's their loss and everybody else's gain. So we'll see that here on the wolfpack.gold site very soon. Be sure and subscribe to the podcast. Like I said, we've got other shows and interviews planned here for the feed. So go to the RSS feed, the podcast, anywhere podcasts are served. You can find us on the America Unplugged channel over on Rockfin. Always, we stream live there, and follow us on Facebook at Wise Wolf Gold, Twitter at Wise Wolf Gold, Instagram at Wise Wolf Gold, TikTok at Wise Wolf Bullion. So that's we'll have that in the show notes as well. And we got some videos coming out. So appreciate you being here, Kenzie. Thanks for doing the show. And we had a lot of success in the chat today. I saw T-Dub put back that they had an Asahi round in their latest Wolfpack. Let's see if we can put that on the screen. Thanks for being a Wolfpack member. It's Alpha Wolf member. So yeah, all kinds of cool stuff in that one. And we had an active chat over on Rockfin. Appreciate everybody joining over there. We'll be back next week for sure. And be sure again, look to the feed. We've got new stuff coming out. Kenzie's working hard. We've got new content, all that great stuff. So appreciate everybody tuning in today. We'll be back. Stay tuned. In a world of bulls and bears, what do you want to say?
Just bye.
Yeah, just bye. Yeah, in a world of bulls and bears, be the wolf. Talk to you soon.